Hi everyone, welcome to TAIWANfest virtual tour. This is presented by Fairchild Media Group, and my name is Charlie Wu. I'm the Managing Director for Asian Canadian Special Events Association. And I'm sure all of you, our VIP guests, have received this wonderful gift pack from us. And within it, there's a pack of mushroom jerky. And this is actually one of my favorite snacks, and it's been I've been passing it around to share with people, and it's actually vegan, so you don't need to cook it, just eat it the way it is. And there's also a pack of strawberry gummy, and this is from a very good friend, an organic farm in Taiwan, and he always uses these fruit that over the surplus fruit, and then make something good use of it. You know, I had his jam, strawberry jam before, and it was very nice. And lastly, that there's also a pack of the crackers, and this is from Zhounan Salt Field in Jiayi, Taiwan. And I actually had a visit with the salt field last year, and it was very interesting. It's the first time that I actually ever experienced walking barefooted in the salt field, and many of us actually sat by the water, and we dipped our feet into the pool, the pound, and the water was actually quite cold, but as soon as our feet reached the bottom of the floor, you can actually feel the warmth from the earth. It's actually very, very dramatic experience, and you kind of feel the warmth coming out from Taiwan. And we're planning something with the salt field next year. I think there's a good story behind it, but for now, please enjoy the crackers. If you want, there's a information sheet that came with your package, and feel free to read about it, and let us know if you actually enjoy these wonderful snacks from Taiwan. And in addition, there's also a T-shirt that you must have, and the T-shirt is part of our theme for this year. It's called Cultures Fermented, and I'll explain to you about this artwork by the Taiwanese artist Zheng Jingwen a bit later. So I thought today, normally we do this in Vancouver, and we take a walk with with many of you, and kind of see everything, and I share the behind the scenes stories with you. But today, since we're doing this virtually, I want to kind of use our website as a way to navigate this year's festival with you. Okay, so allow me to share our website with you right now. Okay, so our website is vancouvertaiwanfest.ca, and as soon as you go in, there's the English version, and there's the traditional Chinese version that you can experience. I think the best way to actually navigate this is actually go to the right-hand side of this the three bars, and there's different pages that you can go to. And I recommend every one of you can start with this about us, and do go in and understand our artistic vision a bit. Every year our program is put together under this artistic vision. So we come up with a statement, and the statement will actually help you to understand how everything is linked up to this year's programming. And if you don't know much about TAIWANfest, there's a bit of history that you can learn about it. Okay. And this is our 5th year of Dialogue with Asia, and many of you probably have been through the year with Hong Kong and Japan, Philippines, Vietnam, and we had a pause last year, but we're coming back to South Korea. So there's two things that I'm going to share with you today. One is under the programs, the other one is the gallery. So we start with the programs first. So when you click the programs, the website will take you into the page with all the programs. And so they're divided by different categories, or you can actually just navigate through these pictures. What I would do is I would take them through some of the programs, and then tell you some of the stories behind it. Okay. Despite that we're talking about this virtually, TAIWANfest in Vancouver actually would have some component of in-person experience, and so there you can actually go down to Vancouver Art Gallery Plaza, and also there's some displays at the Granville Street, and we have two venues that have indoor programming, the Annex and as well as the Orpheum Theater. So let's start by talking about the in-person programming. And so we're gonna start this year's festival with a concert in partnership with Vancouver Metropolitan Orchestra. The concert is called New World, and it's going to be led by our good friend, Maestro Ken Xie. He's returning again with his orchestra. And this is a joint concert. It's also VMO's season opener. However, because it's in person, you do need to reserve your seat. And we do have some COVID guideline health measure that need to follow. So please read them carefully. And the concert will actually celebrate the dialogue between Taiwan and South Korea. And it has to do with how both Taiwan and South Korea are, two vibrant democracies in Asia. However, the evolution of the cultures are slightly different. But regardless, it's actually two of the most dynamic democratic countries in Asia. And so we're going to use music to celebrate that. And as this year's program is also in dialogue with South Korea, we have invited a group called the Tune. The Tune will be in, they were supposed to be performing in person this year. However, due to the pandemic, they actually recorded their their performance. They actually recorded their performance with us online. And I'm happy to let you know that this is one program that we actually picked ourselves when we were invited to Korea 2 years ago. And so for many people, you don't necessarily know what the modern scene in Korea is in terms of music. So our experience was quite refreshing. It's not just about K-pop. There's a lot more to Korean music than just K-pop. And this group, the Tune, is a good example of that. And I think I want you to go and watch their show and experience yourself. By the way, we actually have some CDs that will be available. The Tune is prepared to give away for the program. And I will tell you more about it through our social media platform, so be sure to follow us. And there's other program that we have that I think it's important to talk about. Another in-person experience you can have is our finale. So we will be performing with, I think we'll be joined by Harmonia String Ensemble, and they will be performing at the Vancouver Art Gallery Plaza. And the title of the show is called Sooner or Later. I thought this is a very fitting title, as many of us been waiting for a moment that we all can get together sooner or later. And also to celebrate two cities, Vancouver and Kaohsiung in Taiwan. Both are harbor cities, and we just learned that there's so many connections that are connecting us. And through music, the conductor for Harmonia, Nick Urquhart, is been sharing, one of his favorite Taiwanese composers, Li Zeyi's music around, and he had been sharing it with his student, and as well as with Harmonia. So through music, both cities have been connected for some time. So I think this is a great opportunity. We can continue to explore the two things that are connecting both cities across the Pacific Ocean. And this show will be our finale, so we'll be at the Vancouver Art Gallery Plaza on September 6th, starting at 4 p.m. We don't have a lot of in-person, especially outdoor programming, performance. This is one of them, and everything will be on September 6th for the outdoor performance at the Vancouver Art Gallery Plaza. Other music program that we have done for this year, that we're doing for this year, are programs related to artists that perhaps have been with us, but in addition to watching their performances online, we thought we'd share a bit about their personal stories with you. And I'd like to start with the two artists that who actually have been here with us, Xiao Bingzi, and this program is called 55 Music Studios, and we're featuring Xiao Bingzi, who was here with G-Boy Swag, as part of the Magic Power, a few years back. But they both are independent singer and songwriters, and this is an opportunity to get to know their personal story. And this is also our way of sharing how popular music in Taiwan is, and what the artists perhaps have different thinking comparing with the artists in Korea, with the K-pop artists in Korea. So this is your way of meeting some of these young artists in Taiwan. So in addition to Xiao Bingzi, there's G-Boy Swag. His Mandarin name is Gugu Lü Siwei. Another artist that's worth mentioning is who was actually here with us back in 2019. His name is Suwana. And Suwana, after his experience, like if you remember, he is actually indigenous, and he came to our festival back in 2019, and it was the first time in Canada, and so some of the experiences actually really touched him. So when he went back to Taiwan, in his newest album, he actually dedicated a piece for his experience in Canada. And that had to do with the land acknowledgement that we do here at every event, and as well as the what he had actually witnessed with the residential school history or exhibit that he saw at the time. So this piece is about healing. It's called Healing for Damaged Emotions. And so we are releasing his music video for this piece at the festival. And since it's a music video, so we invited artist Ken Monkman, who is actually a very well known indigenous artist in Canada, a Cree artist. And we had his courtesy to use 6 of his paintings. Those paintings actually tell a lot of stories about the colonization of indigenous people, as well as the indigenous residential school stories. So I thought this is a good way to connect our community with the indigenous community. So every one of us who live here today, treat this as our home, should actually learn about what had happened before, and trying to understand the current truth and reconciliation movement in Canada. So in addition to the music program that we have on, we also have a good lineup of different talks. I'd like to share a few with you today. So let's start with music, and this is their world of music. So we have 2 icons, in the music industry for both Canada and Taiwan. Michael Hollett is the founder of one of the largest music festivals in North America, NXNE in Toronto. And he actually had a chat with the pioneer of Taiwanese indie music movement, Zhang Da-im. And they got together and they discussed, how the music has impacted the way that Taiwan evolved as a democracy, and what they are envisioning for the future. And so the discussion is actually quite different from our other talks. But if you are interested in music and you want to know where music is going, perhaps this is the talk for you. And in addition to their talks, we also have one of the most influential publishers from Taiwan, and his name is Rex Hao. And Rex is actually, he was born in Korea and only moved to Taiwan when he was 20 years old. However, he wasn't treated as Korean for his early days in Korea, because he's always seen as Chinese, because his parents came from China. So he has a very different experience living in Korea, and he also has a very special way of looking at Taiwan, learning from South Korea's path to their economic development. So I thought it's an important lesson that we can learn from someone like himself. Okay, and Rex is also shown that despite the fact that he wasn't born in Taiwan, but his love for Taiwan is probably not less than anyone who live in Taiwan. In addition to Rex, there's also a very interesting talk by Julia Park. And as many of you probably know, at UBC there's an Nitobe garden. And but many of us probably thought it was just a very important person that UBC wants to memorialize the person. But Julia Park thought the same way, and when she went to Oxford to study, she actually ran into a book on Nitobe Inazo, who is actually the person UBC named the garden after. But learning more about Nitobe, it was actually quite the contrary. This is actually a person that was part of the believers in colonialism, and he had helped the Japanese government at the time to prescribe how they should go about colonizing the world. So that was actually something that Julia wasn't expecting, as many of us in Canada, we are in the decolonization period, and how what's the justification for UBC to continue to have this garden named after a person like that? Well, there's many interesting stories that Julia has discovered, so I'll let you listen to the talk and then learn more about it. In addition to Julia, we also have talks from a few other people that I thought was quite important. One of them is actually Professor Josephine Chu-Duke, also from UBC. And this is the year that we talk about South Korea and Taiwan, and Confucianism actually has played an important part of the cultural foundation for both Taiwan and Korea. But it's not just Taiwan and Korea. There's probably have some influence in Japan, Vietnam, China. But having said that, Professor Josephine Chu-Duke thought it is very important to revisit who Confucius, the person, was. And so she thought that many people claim that they were part of the Confucius society actually are not really following the teaching of Confucius. And if he were to be alive today, he probably would be very mad. So what happened exactly? Please join the talk. And we also are joined by our friends in the Korean community, Pastor Yong-tae Choi. He also has a very interesting story. He wasn't a pastor in the beginning, but he was a filmmaker, and so his journey to Canada had actually probably we can all relate to, but there's quite dramatic experience that he had. So let's learn and meet Pastor Choi, who's a member of our local community here. There's also other talks that we have that perhaps can help you to re-envision Taiwan or relearn Taiwan. And one of the talks, this is actually one of my favorite, is Mr. Li Po Chen. He's actually the grandson of one of the most famous painters in Taiwan's history, Chen Cheng-po. And like many of us, he had to live abroad for almost 30 years for political reasons. Now, when he returned to Taiwan, there's a lot of new discovery through organizing his grandfather's paintings, but also his experience abroad had helped him to really understand how he should, or people overseas should actually understand what Taiwan is, who Taiwan is, or what Taiwanese are about. And so through his discussion and through his learning from his grandfather's paintings, we kind of have to revisit our own narrative on Taiwan. And so along the same line that we also are happy to bring back another speaker, and his name is Wang Zeyi. And Dr. Wang came to our festival in the past, but he was talking about there's no Han's ethnic group in China, never existed. So as a scientist, as a historian, he had a very different perspective learning about history. And so with his talk, he's going to tell us many things that many of us grew up in Taiwan or had this deep love for Taiwan don't even know these history existed. And so, according to him, he is in a generation that was basically interrupted because of the political governance of KMT. And so he wanted to help people to relearn the Taiwanese history. But his talk is actually going to be very fascinating for anyone who thinks that they know everything about Taiwan. And furthermore, I wanted to tell you that for the first time ever, we have a comedy show at the festival. And this is also an in-person experience you can do on September 5th at the Annex. And this one, you need to have tickets to go in. And each session, we only allowed to seat about 90 people. So make sure you reserve your seats. There's still some tickets available. Ed Hio is actually a Taiwanese Canadian, and he came here when he was very young. And he loves to be able to help people to rethink Asia through comedy. So this is probably a fun, entertaining way to rethink Asia. And he's joined by his good friend, Aiden Parker, who is actually going to do improv comedy with his friends, the Fistful of Kicks. And this is an evening show, so make sure that you check out the schedule. And I thought comedy is very important as part of democracy. Freedom of expression is critical, and to be able to discuss things in a humorous way and comedy is probably the best way to showcase that. And in Taiwan, I think people are more willing to accept different ways of discussing about our lives or our politics. Other than that, there's also a few films that I want to share with you. And one of the films is by filmmaker Qin Yuan-ke. And the film is May Sea Turtles Be With You Always. And so what it is about this film is, many of us go to temples and then to pray for good fortunes, good health, longevities, and anything that you can ask for. From a turtle, and we all thought this is a good symbol for good luck. However, according to filmmaker Ke, people actually don't know much about sea turtles. So one of his way is to use his film to help to educate the disconnect between our traditions, our cultures, and our nature. And we also will be joined by his talk. He actually going to help us to learn about his 30-plus career in making films on environments of Taiwan. And while we're on the environment, it's actually quite fascinating that we have a deep ocean connection, and this is from Ray Chin. So this is in partnership with Vancouver Taiwanese Film Festival. That's actually follow our festival in September. And Ray, loves to do whale and dolphin still photos in deep oceans. And they come across two Canadians, Susan Chisom and Michael Parfit, and both of them have done incredible documentaries here in BC, and one of which is Saving Luna, and also later on they remake the film into The Whale. So they both Ray and Suzanne and Michael, they share this deep ocean passion. And so we got them together after they met each other 8 years ago. And so this is a way of seeing people with that passion, with ocean, coming together, having a discussion about the sea world. Now I'm ready to share with you 2 pieces of our interactive arts that it's part of our visual arts this year. So let's go to our gallery. So if you visit here, there's 2 pieces of work here you can see, and one is Cultures Fermented, the other one is Just Taiwan Please. And let's start with Cultures Fermented. So this work is a work that we commissioned Taiwanese artist Zheng Jingwen. He's a very young artist, but he loves to use his work for advocacy. And so we approached him and we thought, hey, you know, if Taiwan and South Korea are like kimchi in an urn, that there's a fermentation process you have to go through. And whatever that you put inside the urn would actually impact or influence the outcome of the food. So if we kind of visit this from the Taiwanese side, you actually can see each one of these events or traditions that actually were part of our growing up by or the formation of our culture. So if you click on each image, it's going to tell you about the story. And if there's some images that has some connections with Korea, then you would see that there's the relevance in Korea. So I thought this is a good piece, a fun piece that you know, your families can get together and guess what that image is and play with your kids. So help them to understand how their cultures are formed. And we also have made you know, T-shirts as well as puzzles that with this. So if you're interested in getting this as your merchandise, feel free to buy it on our online store. There's also an exhibition, a in-person exhibition that will take place between September 6th and September 7th at the Vancouver Art Gallery. And that's where we have a huge urn that with this will be available there. And if you also want to listen to the voice guide, you know, it's going to be available online and also in person. So I showed you the Taiwanese side, and now we can go to the Korean side, and you can actually learn from these different events and then see how relevant is it to the cultures that you know today. And there's also the relevance to Taiwan. So this is a way that we thought it's kind of fun to get people to understand the similarities and the differences between the South Korean and Taiwanese cultures. But at the same time, you know, we do this because we want to be able to learn about our cultures in a different way. We want to explore ourselves and come to an identity that we can be comfortable with ourselves. So the other piece that is Just Taiwan Please. And the reason that we have this piece is that for many of you probably aware that, you know, during this past Olympics, there's a lot of discussions about the name Chinese Taipei. And not every athlete that represented Taiwan is Chinese. And as a matter of fact, most of them are indigenous. And not everyone that represented Taiwan is from Taipei. So having the name Chinese Taipei really does not do justice to these athletes. So why do we have this name? And do we need to continue to carry this name? And if this is a name that is not appropriate, maybe we can actually look at other names that perhaps if it's, you know, placed upon you, if you're forced to be calling these names, then you know you wouldn't be comfortable yourself. So for example, we're in Vancouver, and so because Vancouver used to be colonized by the British, so are we calling ourselves English Vancouver? What about Ho Chi Minh City? Are we calling ourselves French Ho Chi Minh City? And if you click, you know, into these art, you actually can see a bit of animation and see where the artist is coming from. Yeah, if you don't want to be called French Ho Chi Minh City, then don't call Chinese Taipei, just Taiwan, please. So that's the message that we have. And if you kind of go around the world, you can see many of these names that continue to you know, perhaps let us think that, hey, yeah, it's no longer right to call Chinese Taipei for the Taiwanese. And so, people in Seoul don't want to be called Japanese Seoul, then no more Chinese Taipei, just Taiwan, please. So we have other names in Portugal, in Macau, and in Manila, and the reason that these are all happening, the world continues to forcing Taiwanese to be called Chinese Taipei, it is because of this influence from China, and if you know who Wayne is, you probably know what this is trying to say. I think the artist is trying to tell you that there's a reason that the world continue to be forced into calling Taiwanese people Chinese Taipei, because their name is just Taiwan. So she's hoping that we can just call Taiwan, please. There's just one more piece I want to share with you. As many probably are aware, well, two more pieces I want to share with you. Many of you probably aware that TAIWANfest this is our 32nd year in Vancouver, and many artists actually, when they visited TAIWANfest, and there's a lot of learnings for them and a lot of new experiences. And I want to point out at least two. One is Suwana. Suwana came in 2019, and because of his experience here, in his newest album, he actually dedicated a song for his experience in Canada. It's called Healing for Damaged Emotions. And so when he was here, he actually had a chance to listen to the land acknowledgement that we all do at the beginning of the event. And he also was at the Museum of Vancouver and saw an exhibit of drawings or paintings from the Indigenous Residential School, the children's work. And so that really moved him and touched him. So his piece is actually dedicating for his experience in Canada, and it's a way that he wants to raise the awareness and call upon the Indigenous community in Taiwan to actually reflect based on his experience in Canada. So we went to the Cree artist, Kent Monkman, here in Canada, and he's actually a very well-known artist and has some very interesting and provocative paintings that had to do with the colonization of Indigenous people, as well as the Indigenous residential school stories. So, with his courtesy, we have 6 paintings from him, and together with Suwana's new piece, we created a music video that to be released during the festival. This is the first time that we could bring two important artists together and to be able to advocate for a message that we all think is very important for people, regardless where you are. And another interesting story is that another group that came in that year, 2019, the group is called Sori Youth. When they were here, they actually met a group of Taiwanese Canadians who actually contributed to the democratic movement in Taiwan. So like Suwana, they also went back to create a piece of music dedicated for these people. They want these people to remember. So this is actually dedicating to a group of unsung heroes during that time. And our team has put together a group of artists to help sketch these stories, resketch these stories, and we created another music story that will be featured as part of the festival this year as well. So I would encourage anyone who really admires Taiwan's democracy to have a look at this music story, because without these people, the democracy in Taiwan could still be a dream. However, this could be an inspiration for many people from Hong Kong, many people from China that are also very interested in pushing forward the democratic movement in these places. I just realized that there's probably a few more that I need to share with you. There's, as we have lots of different programming, this year as well. So there's a couple of movies, and along with the music video stories that I share, there's Su Bang, the movie, The Revolutionist. He's actually quite instrumental. He actually published a book about 400 years of Taiwanese history. If anyone thinks they know about Taiwan, perhaps you need to check your facts again with Su Bang, and why not starting with his documentary as well. And there are many other things that we get to share. There's also bookstore story that focused on Confucius and confusion. Iris Chen, who helped us to develop this program, and she actually had many people participated in a writing contest in the platform Matters, and we were so happy to have 64 plus writings that people are so interested in discussing this theme, Confucius or confused. As you probably know, that Confucius thinking is the base of the Asian cultures and many Asian cultures, and so we are quite fascinating to hear all different perspectives on this particular issue. And we also visited a franchise in Taiwan, and Mr. Cheng actually has this really unique story with our local Korean Taiwanese bistro, Sasaya, with Annie Chen. It's actually a quite heartwarming story. However, this is also an opportunity for you to learn what is Korean food like in Taiwan. So that kind of sums up with our this year's programming, and I want to wish you all a great festival. And if you have any comments or questions, feel free to send us messages through email or leave messages on our social media platform, and I'm happy to get back to you. I would like to thank Fairchild for sponsoring this virtual tour, and I wish you all well, and we'll see you next year returning back to downtown Vancouver. Thank you.